All In Sports Network. We love sports.
Coming to you from the land of brisket and barbecue, Lone Stars and Longhorns, this is All In Sports, and by the Unstable Blues.
Welcome back in. The inevitable happened, but we're not sold that the Colts should have been the laughingstock they were made to be leading up to the game. We will give you our breakdown as well as our Mayflower move and Lone Star of the game. So let's go. All in Colts.
Yes, I'm Kevin. This is my son Liam. We are the Unstable Blues, happy to present All In Colts as part of the Rogue Media Sports Network.
Yeah. Welcome to Thanksgiving week. Before the turkey, there was some beef between Zaire Franklin and Pat McAfee. At the end of last week was Zaire calling out the media around the AR narrative and McAfee responding by picking the Lions by 20, which almost happened.
Yes, I'm not sure who actually ended up winning or losing that. It's tough. We like both of them, but hate to see that kind of stuff. I don't think the Colts did themselves, as we've talked about, any favors by not really being forthright with anything that was actually going on. Also, shout out to all the Lions fans for engaging with our content this weekend.
Yeah.
I love when a historically awful team finally gets something going and how passionate their fans get.
Exactly.
They had Peyton Manning or Andrew Luck the whole time or something.
Clout is clout, and more negative things on something actually for some reason creates more of a if you, let's say you have 10 dislikes or 10 likes on something, the dislikes actually do more for your brand than the likes do, which I thought was interesting. So
there we go. I think we were up to 600 views on.
Nice.
Yep. They just keep going, even after the game's over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Injuries. Ashton Doolin had an ankle, so we'll keep our eye on that throughout.
Josh Downs also had something going on with his shoulder as well.
Yes.
He was in and out of the game.
Pitt had a shoulder something or other too, so we'll see how that goes.
Mm-hmm.
Time for the narrative, though. The Colts won the opening toss, and like I said, they took it, that opening drive, down for a field goal. And they frustrated Goff with a coverage sack to end the Lions' first series.
Yeah, after that happened, I thought to myself, I'm like, okay, we're doing pretty good. But I'm not going to get too excited because I know how things go. Still the only team in the NFL to have no touchdowns scored on them on the very first drive.
Yep. And
I love it.
Continued a league-leading 12th straight game or 11th straight game with a forced fumble. Didn't recover it, but had that going too.
We'll have to. I'm assuming we'll talk about that at some point.
Yeah, maybe.
The scoring then opened up as the Lions rushed for 2 touchdowns while the Colts were held to another red zone field goal. So at the end of the half, it was 14-6, I believe, right?
Yep, because they exchanged punts and that after that. The Colts defense then –
Before you continue, you talked about punts. I just want to mention something about Rigoberto Sanchez.
Oh yeah.
Anytime he had a punt, I heard the announcers, "Oh, that was a big kick." Yeah, he's a great punter.
Yep. And he was unfortunately punting for his life there a lot. Going deep there, Colts backed up quite a bit, so he didn't have to use any finesse of that. He just booted the thing. Yep. The Colts defense then started off the half with a turnover on downs, which was huge, but that led to just a punt, and that resulted in a third rushing touchdown for the Lions.
Yep, 2 for Jahmyr Gibbs, 1 for David Montgomery.
Yep.
The rest of the game, no one got anything much going except for Jake Bates' 56-yard field goal, which helped me at fantasy. I might lose fantasy this week.
Oh,
down.
Hallelujah.
It depends.
I am going to beat another playoff contender, which may mean I will work myself into the playoffs. I'm right there.
Yeah, Saquon needs to
I'm
do a
hitting
lot
my
better than
stride
he's
when
doing.
I got to.
Saquon is
But
doing absolutely nothing. I need him to perform. Oh, I could have put Puka in. I didn't put Puka in.
I left quite a bit of points out by not having Jameer, but I took Jameer out and put Bucky Irving in, and Bucky had a day. So it's
Kenna
okay. I'm good with it.
Kenna has the Dallas defense 19 points, and
Yeah, that
Cortland
thing was great
Sutton.
because I mean, the special teams scored the. Okay,
Cortland Sutton's
fantasy.
also at
That's
32.
for another time. That'll come out
Yes.
on Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Stat sheet time. Anthony Richardson back to kind of his usual ways, going 11 for 28 for 172 yards. No touchdowns, but no picks. He added 61 yards on 10 carries. It's debatable how much of those misses were actually on him.
That's what I was about to say. I was like, I don't know. Like there was a couple where receiver just straight up dropped it in the end zone.
And then there were others where he had to throw it away. And do you really want him to try to not throw it? No, you throw it away. So I
There's
think there were
also
at least 5 throwaways, including another one with a tackle on his back.
Yeah, another one where he threw it down the field, looked like Ashton pulled it in, and 1 foot out. No.
Yep.
I was like, let's go.
Yep.
They took the deep shots. They took the deep shots.
Adonai Mitchell just didn't get his feet in, and Josh Downs missed one right on his face. Yep. There were several.
Yes. He played well. I like the 61 yards on 10 carries as well. I like that he's running the ball.
Yeah.
I like that we're using his ability. He's running like a big guy.
Yeah.
But he's safe.
He had 2 17-yarders.
One of those should be an angry one qualifier. I don't know if you saw.
Yeah.
He ran over one of the hardest hitting safeties in the league.
Oh yeah.
And then broke 2 tackles and continued to run the 5 yards. Phenomenal. Jared Goff, though, he went 26 for 36, 269 yards, also no touchdowns and no interceptions. So, I mean, quarterback play, it was – I mean, obviously they had 100 more yards, which, I mean, the score will probably show that.
Yep.
But still, that's pretty good.
In reference to our preview, it's just amazing what Jared Goff manages to do.
Mm-hmm.
Jahmyr Gibbs then went for 90 yards on 21 carries and 2 touchdowns.
Yep, and David Montgomery had the other touchdown with another 37 yards. He probably would have had more yards, but he got hurt, and his shoulder got hurt in the game. He was questionable the whole game. Never knew if he was going to return or not. I'm assuming he's probably okay. Yeah, but they saw the score and were like, Jahmyr is doing just fine. Yep. So still no one over 100 yards though.
Right. Jonathan Taylor only managed 35 yards, though, on 11 rushes.
The 11 rushes concerns me. You're having back-to-back weeks, at least back-to-back weeks, with 20 or more carries, and then you only give him an 11, especially whenever he had one breakaway that got taken back because of a penalty.
Yep.
So, I mean, if he has one, surely he's going to have another. He's finding
and that was like his last carry. I understand. You're down 2 scores, but you must maintain – balance within the offense.
Mm-hmm. Michael Pittman was the top receiver today, going for 96 yards on 6 grabs. I'm sorry for anyone that I told not to put him in for fantasy. He did pretty good. No touchdowns, but 9.6 plus the 6, so that's 15.6. That's pretty solid.
Yep. The person I played in fantasy left him on the bench, so. Also left Jameson Williams on the bench, and he and Amon-Ra St. Brown each had over 60 yards apiece.
DJ Reader was a force on the Lions' defensive line while they did not manage any sacks, mainly because of AR's ability. The offensive line kind of sucked today.
Yes.
McNeely or something like that, the D tackle for the Lions, he didn't necessarily have a whole bunch of tackles or no sacks, obviously, but he was just running through the rookies like nothing.
Yep. Yeah, I saw a stat that the Colts are 37-3 when they have 0 tackles and 0 penalties. We may talk about that. The Colts, on the other hand, had 3 sacks, 9 quarterback hits, and 7 tackles for loss on the day. I
Yep.
believe the stat that showed up on the broadcast was 17 quarterback pressures, and they had at least one more after that. So that's pretty good.
If you just look at the defensive side of the ball, strictly defensive side of the ball, no stats on offense or anything, it looks like the Colts should have won this game.
Yep.
The Colts defense played really well. That was a strong suit. That has been the strong suit the past couple of weeks.
Yep.
Nick Cross had 14 tackles. Zaire had 13, and EJ Speed with 11. So our top tacklers doing top tackler stuff.
Yep. Franklin, DeForest Buckner, and Leatu Latu recorded the sacks. What are some of your intangibles about this game?
Well, first off, that's 4 sacks for Latu on the season.
It is.
Intangibles.
Hold on.
Okay.
Before we get into that, your second time seeing the Indiana Knights. What do you think?
Yes. I love the uniform. I honestly love the uniform. I mean, I can wear, not on game day, obviously, but I can wear this because it's the same type of material and it's Colts, the whole thing. I could wear that beforehand, after, just not during.
Yep.
So, I mean, I really like it. The announcers kind of touched on it, that they were like, yeah, they need to wear this more. And I completely agree. I don't care if we are 0-2 in them. You're bound to get a win at some point.
0-2 with questionable yellow thrown in.
Yes.
Both times. I still say that this is what it should have been all along. All black.
I like it. Black.
Yeah,
I feel like it should have been that, but I mean, for what it's worth, it still looks good.
Yep, for sure. Yeah. All right. Your intangibles, back to it.
I'm gonna do it, but not until I'm gonna talk about some other stuff first, because I feel like it's gonna start a whole conversation. First things first, time of possession. Did not win it. Nope. I don't even need to know the stats. I have not looked at the time of possession. I know they did not win it because of how many punts we had. I feel like our run game was strong at the beginning of the game and the end of the game. But in the middle, I feel like coming into this game, Zaire and Gus had both mentioned that they were not great in the fourth quarter as a defensive unit. They stepped that up. They played well in the fourth quarter and first quarter. No scores in the fourth quarter, 1 field goal in the fourth. That's it.
Yep.
The defense allowed every opportunity for the offense to get back in this game. This game was lost because of the offense. Now, so you got to step up in the second and third quarter. You got to step up middle of the game. You got to play smart.
Because that's exactly where the Lions were most successful coming into this game, second and third quarter.
They outscored their opponents in the second quarter 147-43, I believe, something close to that. So wide margin of points. They scored over half their points in the second quarter. Yep. You've got to be – I feel like that's kind of a common theme for the Colts. They kind of lack in the second quarter. Towards the middle of the game, Shane necessarily doesn't have his best play calling with clock management and stuff like that in the middle of the game, obviously before the half. Another intangible, penalties. I don't like to talk about the penalties. Zebras don't necessarily dictate all the games unless it's the Chiefs game, although the Chiefs game was called a lot in the favor of the Panthers today. That's why it was close, in my opinion. Also, it could just be that the Chiefs legitimately, got the penalties. They could have legitimately been just barely better than the Panthers, who maybe the Panthers aren't as bad as everyone thinks.
Maybe they're just really good with the black helmets.
Yeah, maybe. But penalties. Yeah. I don't know how many penalties the Colts had. I told
10.
you there were 7 terrible calls. I take that back. One of them was a real call. One of them, I looked back. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. There were 6 terrible calls. One
The
was
first
a
three.
missed
The first 3 were
bogus.
awful,
Bogus.
including one that I still think could have been called, but shouldn't have been called is the
Are you
Jalen
talking?
Jones.
Okay,
The
yeah,
Jalen Jones jump.
yeah.
There's
It looked to me afterwards. I was like, he just looks like he's having fun. Like he looks like he's a little kid on a playground. You're
yep.
calling a personal foul on that? It
It's
did
Thanksgiving. You
nothing.
got to jump in the leaves sometimes.
It did nothing.
Nothing.
Absolutely
No.
nothing
No.
to the play
Nope.
at all.
It
Didn't
hurt.
push it
It hurt
back.
the
Didn't
Colts
stop
player more than
momentum.
it did.
Exactly.
Yep.
There was also the holding where it looked like the defensive lineman tripped and Drew Ogletree just happened to be, kind of get carried with the trip. There was the Alec Pierce play where he went inside. He was trying to do a route. He stopped and just did this, so he didn't do anything. Wide open catch, massive catch for downs. Kill the momentum of the drive. There was one illegal hand to the face where I called it bad, but in reality, it was an illegal hand to the face. Quentin grabbed his face mask and put it up. They missed a block in the back that was on Latu. Latu was about to get, I think it was Jahmyr Gibbs or Montgomery, one of the two, in the backfield for a loss, but the lineman pushed him. It was like diagonally backwards, which is still a block in the back. If you see their numbers, don't block. That's the rule. So there were just so many penalties that were just drive killers. And it wasn't like, okay, there's a lot of penalties, but and sometimes you can work through that. It's just the fact that the timing of all of the penalties just seems so. And then there was a punt where a Colt, Ronnie Harrison ran into the punter. It was the kicking foot. So it was
I knew he was
not
going
as
for
bad.
it. They were lining up, and I was like, they need to do this, and Rodney Harrison is going for it right there. They didn't bring extra people in. I just knew that he was the guy that was going to try to get in there and get it, and he did, and he almost got it. And then you run into the kicker. You know how it is. If you're the kicker, you don't want that not called.
Yeah.
It didn't end up mattering.
Ronnie Harrison was lucky it was the kicking foot, not the plant foot.
Yep. But he held up he did the right thing. He held up. So he didn't do that. So
yeah. But it was the penalties were just such a game killer. Just the timing of all the penalties was just so annoying. It looked to me like the refs just did not want the Colts to do anything at all.
The Lions are the new Chiefs. Here is Shane Steichen talking about the penalties after the game.
Penalties hurt us. Starts with myself. We got to get those cleaned up. We had a season high 10 penalties, I believe, for 75 yards. That's on me. We can't have that. We got to play clean football. No, we had some holding calls. We had a hand to the face. We had a big play to downs. They called the pick play on us. When you have big plays that get called back, I felt like there's a few of them that, I felt like every time we hit a 20-yarder or a 30-yarder or something, was called back. And so obviously those hurt you in those situations.
He chose his words right.
Yes, he did not say anything, but he's exactly correct. About every big play, there was a flag. So much so that whenever the Lions got called for they think, their first penalty, first big one, I could hear the crowd, which was largely Lions based in Lucas Oil, which is troubling.
There was a lot of Lions fans.
I heard the Colts fans just cheer beyond belief that the Lions actually got called for a penalty.
Mm-hmm. Isaiah, I kept on just any single play I saw that was bad. I told Isaiah, and he's like, so maybe the refs like the Lions more than Chiefs now. I was like, I think they can choose one for each conference.
Yep. What are some of the other intangibles here? Anything?
We didn't run the ball enough with JT. We ran a good amount, I think a perfect amount, honestly, with AR. Opened up so many other things. The receivers need to catch better as well. Like Drew Ogletree had a touchdown
Yep.
and dropped it.
Yep.
Now, once again, I don't know. We've talked about this before. I don't know if this is the quarterback needing to adjust something because he has a big arm, strong arm. He rockets it in there. But I've seen all these receivers on our team or on the Colts catch these balls before. So why can't you catch it now?
And the thing is, like, if you throw it differently, it won't get in there.
Exactly.
Right? Like, he put it right on his face. Get your hands up, your big hands, and use your strength to catch the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Do it. Credit to AR. His post game, I don't have it, but he went up to Drew after and said, "Hey, it's fine. You get the next one." So AR continues to grow in his leadership there. There was good rallying to the ball by the defense. Unfortunately, sometimes it was a little too late. There was a lack of wrapping up on defense that was troubling. And then the lack of protection. They got to fix they have to fix the left guard situation. Love Dalton Tucker. I championed him as an undrafted free agent.
Wait,
but
left guard?
So right guard.
Right guard, right.
Right
okay.
guard.
I
But
heard
he
left
cannot.
guard. I'm like, wait, Quentin?
Although there were a fair amount of Quentin Nelson penalties. No, but you got to do something about that. And then of course the red zone efficiency. Like on one of those AR runs, he could have juked the guy or spun him or something and got a touchdown, but he juked too early and went straight between the guys and just put his head down and got down. Those little things about finishing well make a big difference. There's a big difference. There's a big difference between points and no points, but there's also a big difference between 3 points and 7 points, or 6 points and 14 points.
Yeah, and
there's a big difference.
Momentum as well goes along with that.
Yep. And there's no takeaways. Sam Womack almost had that one. There was another one.
The Lions almost had a couple.
Yeah, but we'll say this. Whole secondary, great job. Like,
very
holding both those receivers to only just a hair above 60 and no touchdowns. And several of those pressures came on coverage, right? Jared Goff, smart guy, game manager, but smart guy, wasn't able to deliver the ball because they were covered. And so that's what caused many of the pressures and sacks and different things like that, So never forget that the defense is a unit, and the longer the quarterback stands back there, it's probably because there's nothing open. So good job to the secondary all around for that. What's your Mayflower move of the game?
Let me think here. I don't want to do a penalty, so I'm trying to think outside of the penalties.
Yep.
I think it would have. This is a kind of an odd one. It's kind of like a what if scenario.
Okay.
The fumble that Latu caused on Goff. If one of the defensive linemen would have noticed it was there and just kind of jump on it.
Yep.
It's a huge what if scenario. Yes, the Lions could have still won the game. Yes, the Colts could have won the game. So it's just these things are up in the air. So we don't know what could have happened, couldn't have happened. So
I like it. Out of the box there. There were many, moments for the Colts, but the Lions won the game. So the nail in the coffin was the Jahmyr Gibbs third quarter touchdown to me. That put it
flag though.
Right. That put it, huh?
Had a flag with it.
No, this is the third quarter one, not the first one.
Oh, okay.
The first one had the flag that
The
resulted
taunting.
with the Jalen Jones that resulted in the
It was
the,
Womack is who it was. Gibbs was
right.
talking to 30 Womack.
Yeah. Oh yes, they had the penalty on Jameer.
Yeah, the taunting.
Yeah, the third one. Yeah, but it didn't matter. Like it's after the play.
No.
You already scored. But the last time the Colts were in the Indiana Knights, Pittman had a taunting penalty. But that one they did not allow the touchdown because it happened before he crossed the goal line. I think Jameer started taunting before the goal line too.
Yeah, he was running and he looked back and started talking.
Right. Interesting. So then anyway, that to me, that's the nail in the coffin. That's, at that point, it's incredibly difficult. It makes it that much more difficult to come back. Still possible, absolutely possible, but just not with where things were at. And at that point, it changed all of the play calling to, not allow it to be more balanced of an offense and things like that.
Yeah.
Who is your lone star of the game? Top performance.
I like to give it to the offense most of the time. I don't know if I can today. The offense just was not productive at all. But since I like it so much, I'm gonna do one offense, one defense. Both kind of similar positions. One is not necessarily stat based though. One is Pittman. The guy on offense is Pittman.
Yep.
He performed well. He did a great job stepping up to the plate. He took a couple big hits as well. Stayed in there, played some good football. Got us the yards whenever we needed it. Because Downs wasn't, doing down stuff.
Yeah.
So, and then on defense, I'm going to go Jalen Jones. I think the announcers talked about how he's come in as his own, as a great DB. He looks like a true number one. He held Amon-Ra or anyone he was on. He had a couple of big plays, big pass deflections, or just coverages where they couldn't throw it over there, which resulted in a coverage sack or something like that. So I think Jalen Jones just played really good football and has been playing good football the past couple of weeks.
I like it. You know how much I like coaching. And I have to give it to even coaches on the other side because my lone star of the game is Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator for the Lions. Yes, they have lots of weapons. Yes, they have a great offensive line that does what they need to do. But how much they vary the attack and what they do when they do it, those third and long run calls, who does that?
Mm-hmm.
Trust your guys, do the things that are unpredictable because they can work, right? And, but you also look at that and go, that's very Dan Campbell, right? And so that's why they work so well together, right? And probably why, as long as they can continue to have success, there's not as much of an incentive for Ben Johnson or for Aaron Glenn to go anywhere else and be a head coach because you have a good setup with a good system that is successful. Why would you go and try to take over anything else that may not be that way? Live in success and see what happens. So.
Hey, okay, so you had a hot take in the preview. I'm gonna do a hot take right now.
Okay.
See if we can get some more views or something like that. I'm not trying to get views, but I really do believe. No, I'm not. I really do believe this though.
Okay.
I believe obviously the skill position of the Lions, they're great. The defense is good. I'm not saying anything against defense. It's mainly offense. The running backs are good. David Montgomery he's good. Obviously, he didn't perform on other teams, which is kind of one of the reasons why it led me to believe this. Amon-Ra is good. Jared Goff is good. As you said, he is a game manager, which I agree with. My hot take is the Lions offense is not as good as it seems. It is only good because the offensive line allows it to be good. I would say the Lions have, if not the best, a top 3 offensive line in the league. And if that was a mediocre line, the Lions would not be as good as they are.
I could not agree with you more. But that is it for today. We will be back tomorrow with our update from the South, and we will look around the AFC South. Then later this week, we will have our unstable pick 6, our fantasy stable, and our preview of the Colts' visit to the Northeast to take on the Patriots wearing their Pat Patriot. Is it time for the Colts to finally break out the blue face mask?
Well, this is Liam.
And this is Kevin.
Reminding you to stay all in Colts.
All in Sports Network. We love sports.